So, it is Friday morning, which technically for me means another ISC. That's a little bit late for all of you, but I have woken up and I am ready to see what they've got for us. So, I think it's caves and new player experience, which like, player experience. Please, new player experience. I can't wait to see something on that. Let's see what they've got for us this week from the Star Citizen dev team. I'll try to provide some context, hopes and wishes, disappointment. Try to live vicariously through me or something. Let's see.
Our goal for the last half year has been to figure out how to build additional cave archetypes. Not only trying to establish the visual, but also define a new workflow on how we can make better looking, better performing caves.
Kind of what I was hoping that first update would be a couple years ago.
The new workflow we figured out for the caves is much more artist friendly, and to a point even where designers can make entire cave rooms without necessarily needing an artist to do any work. The designer could go in and build like a white box room and send this to the Houdini process, which will then return an almost finished cave room.
It's essentially another one of the tools they've been making. I would have thought this was already done for the cave systems. A little surprised.
For the first release, there will be new sand caves on Staymire, which is like the prime candidate, being a very desert planet. But it is
good to know that with this new cave type, they're at least also making work. They're also making progress on the rest of the cave system. It's not just this cave type and that's it. I don't think we're going to see those improvements in the next patch when this comes out, but it sounds like that's an initiative that's going, which is at least good news. The more things that are automated in this game's process, the better.
Will also be going on
to an extent.
Magda, Ita, Wala, and Hurston himself.
Wala?
One thing we really liked about the old caves was that they always had this feeling of claustrophobia, and we tried to keep that in some regards.
And the feeling of being paper thin. Ooh, wait a second. We got layers?
And we tried to keep that in some regards.
Is this two caverns on top of one another? Because I would love to see more of that
Another
verticality.
thing that was always a concern, the old ones, was that it was very bumpy to walk through them.
Yeah.
So one thing we definitely improved on is walking through them and traversing the space is much smoother.
Wow, that looks
nicer in general.
That looks good. Okay. I mean, you know, also, it's just a walkway, but it looks good.
Added a lot more natural light sources, so you will have much more cinematic experiences going through them.
Yeah, I could see this leading towards water caves. Just the structures are getting there. Oh, Pico. We're sneaking them in.
For the first release, there will be no missions, but it's hopefully very soon it will be remedied shortly. And also for the first release.
You can't release locations without missions anymore. That's just, we can't do that in this game anymore. Do not do that. Just, if there's nothing to include in the location, please just delay the location. You have to keep missions coming in those places. You have to give us reasons. As soon as that comes in, we spend a quarter seeing it, the novelty wears off, the missions don't feel as nice when we start doing them.
The caves will be walkable on foot only, like no vehicle entrances, no ship entrances, but the workflow is flexible enough to accommodate those once we get to those. Like this first release is mostly about showing the community the visual we've developed for this archetype. Additional archetypes that are like...
I'm not that impressed.
We are scheduled to work.
Like, it looks good. I'm glad that the system's moving forward, but that's some pretty disappointing news.
Work on in the next 1 year. It's going to be the rock archetype, which will replace the existing caves. Then we also have the acidic archetype, which will fit into aerial and less parts of Stanton, where like those bubbling acid pools, sulfur pools. Then there's also the ice archetype, which will be great for microtech and its moons, for example. And the last one that's actually scheduled is the overgrown one, which will also work well on microtech in the forests and on Hurston.
Real quick, let me go back and see what he said about that.
Yeah, that are like this archetype. Additional archetypes that are like we are scheduled to work on in the next 1 year.
Okay, so these are, he's estimating these will be done in the next year. I would think maybe one of those archetypes will be done in the next year, probably just replacing the rocky type. So I wouldn't look forward to cave improvements for a while, I guess.
And on Hurston, we as a team are quite proud of the experience we managed to achieve with the new cave archetype that's coming out. It was really fun for us to do and like make this excursion.
It looks great.
To figure out all the problems that come.
It really does. And the caves, these look much, much better than what we have. They look more interesting to explore. But to be honest, if the lighting glitches aren't gone, if the getting stuck on geometry isn't gone, if randomly suffocating in certain places isn't gone, the core experience of these caves won't be changed. And that's what makes the caves difficult. We can do with, you know, the same rockiness in the caves every single time we go underground. That's not really the problem. The problem is what you experience once you're in the caves, and that's frustrating. I wish they would talk more about that here.
With that, we're looking forward to building all the other archetypes as well. The established workflow now, which should go much faster and hopefully result in some really cool looking new places the player can experience.
And to be clear, this dev, Sebastian, might not be the person to talk about that. What I'm saying is I would hope that a cave update would also reach out to the teams that might be responsible for that experience and see what they can say about, hey, these are how the caves are working now. This is what's going on with geometry. This is what's going on with those crouch and prone sections. And we talked to the lighting team, and this is what's going on with those visual glitches. I'd just like to hear more about that kind of stuff.
Alpha 318 is slated to bring with it a number of new aspects to the persistent universe. From the new rivers, the arena racetrack, the Korea revamp, the prison additions, and new sand caves that we've already discussed this quarter, to the cargo refactor, hull scraping, and persistent entity stream.
Is that the first time we've heard the words cargo refactor in ISC in like at least 6 months? Maybe less than that, but still. We actually heard the words cargo refactor.
And more that we'll be covering over our next 5 weeks. But occasionally, we like to look even farther ahead and explore the earliest prospects of work that's only now just beginning. And this week, we've got Star Citizen Live game director Todd Pappy to share with us plans for...
This is like one of the most important things they could be doing for this game. Oh, I really hope there's some good signs here in this early one.
Out of the asteroid hangar, oh so long ago.
The scale and scope of our game, there's a huge learning curve. Obviously, our community's been fantastic, you know, with the help and support for the new players coming on. I think with any game of any size, there needs to be some sort of new player experience to help break down those barriers.
Come on, give us the goods.
Step by step, you know, and more story-based style introduction, you know, for players. And the issue with that is, as soon as any new mechanics came online,
this was back in the day,
then we'd have to go in and basically rebuild it and adjust it, and the upkeep on it was really time-consuming.
Still waiting. I'm Lucas Baramsko, but everyone knows me as Gilly.
With our new player experience aspect that we're working towards, it's really taking the player not only from basically the front end and having choices there so that the player can either opt in or opt out, but it's training them in their hab. It's training them to their first store.
AR markers can be so important here.
Over to the spaceport, how to get out of the hangar, get into your ship, you know, where do you need to click in the cockpit.
Highlighting buttons, highlighting signs. I don't think we're going to get to see the conceptual work here, though.
Doing some very light missions to basically kind of get you up to speed with ship combat as well as FPS combat.
Jeez.
Right
it
now,
didn't even explode.
Ship combat as well as FPS combat. Right now, the teams are working towards FPS HUD that is being built for S42.
Show it.
So that it's got
show it.
Basically, contextual hints that are up all the time, and you're in different states. So it's basically player interaction experience that that we're working on, and we've spec'd out, for S42 as well as for the persistent universe. So we're waiting on them to do the first pass on the HUD and first pass on the system, and then from there that trickles down to us. We need to reskin it and do it. Regarding the subsumption hooks and everything like that, we've already got all that spec'd out. The teams are working towards that right now. Front end experience, we just need to make sure that one of our team from USPU works on that and builds that out. Then
okay, so there were quite a few things there. He said that they're waiting on the HUD, which we know has been going on for a while. I don't know if has to do anything with the lens and visor rework though. And the player interaction experience is another thing on the progress tracker. And I want to say that's separate from the new player experience stuff that they're also talking about. So there's a few different tasks that are dependent for, or rather that are prerequisites, it sounds like, for this new player kind of experience thing they're talking about. This is going to be a ways out.
We're waiting on them to do the first pass on the HUD and first pass on the system, and then from there that trickles down to us. We need to reskin it and do it. Regarding the subsumption hooks and everything like that, we've already got all that spec'd out. The teams are working towards that right now. Front end experience, we just need to make sure that one of our team from USPU works on that and builds that out. Then there's all the signage and everything like that in our landing zones.
Yeah.
Our branding team is going through and looking at that experience and doing the test on Area 18 at first, and then
basically going back and, like, I don't want to say crossing the I's and dotting your T's. But they're kind of putting in almost, it feels like finishing touches to, not finishing touches, but like the really little things. Like we got the Stanton polish pass, and then we started to get some like locations, and now they're getting really granular with the stuff that they're starting to make sure is up to a good tier of experience in the cities and the outposts and stuff. That's good. I have no idea how it's normally done or if it is done, but the way that they've kind of progressed to the more and more detailed stuff as they've built out the Stanton system over like the last year and a half, 2 years, it's been interesting to see.
We'll be taking that to Lorville, New Babbage, and Horizon. It's a work in progress right now, but we're really working towards getting this out to the players, and this is just like a smaller bite size new player experience, and we'll be working on a much larger experience when we get closer to switching this over to beta.
The question is, how long is it going to take? It's probably going to take a while. That's always the question with CIG. It's nice to see, and I'm really, really excited to see the new player experience getting some work. But this is probably a year away at the least, and that's just for the one planet. I was hoping that they were talking about a full system sort of thing here. So, as always, the question is when.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the EU Sandbox 2 team continues to build out the world beneath Star Citizen's worlds with new cave types including sand, acid, and soon ice. And that all those players out there currently helping new citizens get their start in the verse have help on the way as the new player experience continues to develop into the next year. Now don't forget that Ship Showdown is still underway, and it's your chance to determine the best of Star Citizen ships and vehicles. And if you haven't seen some of the commercials and songs that have been created by the community, do yourself a favor and check those out.
And nice little drawings and paint.
I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all here next week.
Cool. And I'm making sure I'm not missing anything at the end. All right, folks, thank you for watching. I hope you got some extra context out of watching that with your lovely tomato. But if not, go look it up and watch it without any pauses and annoying interruptions. Thanks for coming and checking this out. I'll be doing another one next week. And the week after that, I think I'll be gone. So I don't know, maybe do them on the road. Either way, thanks for coming, folks. I'll see you next time.